Imhotep. It is Sunday, December 20th, 2020, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well. Today's been a very busy weekend, very hectic weekend, a lot going on, but we are here. So everybody, we're broadcasting on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, Imhotep. So if you're watching there, share this broadcast on your social media platforms. We also broadcast on 910 AM Superstation, WFDF on their Facebook page also. All right, so hope everybody's doing well today. Well, the we're on 6 days a week, so we've been going strong since October 12th, 6 days a week. The new movie dealing with Ma Rainey is on Netflix, and it stars Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman in his last role. We know he passed away a few months ago due to colon cancer, and probably best known as T'Challa in Black Panther. And the early reviews are he did a fantastic job in this role. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, starring Viola Davis as Ma Rainey and Chadwick Boseman also, executive produced by Denzel Washington. So we'll talk a little bit about that. If you've seen it already on Netflix, give us a call. Now don't spoil anything in it. If there's any, don't spoil it. Don't give anything. Don't give everything away. But if you have comments on Chadwick Boseman's performance or the performances and things like that, maybe something that you learned from the movie, give us a call. 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600. TheGrio.com is an article about this. The triumph of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is finally here. NBC News Black has a article dealing with this as well. I've seen a number of different articles about this movie, rave reviews regarding it. And then also, this past week, Thursday, we got the sad news that longtime Wayne County Sheriff Benny Napoleon passed away, age 65, due to coronavirus. And I talked about it on my Thursday night show, and I found out basically 20 minutes before our show aired. Our show Monday through Friday, we're on 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time. So I found out basically 20 minutes before the show aired, and so that was a tough show to get through. I just saw Benny Napoleon in October here in Detroit when Roland Martin was here broadcasting, Roland Martin Unfiltered here in Detroit. So I'm on each Friday on Roland Martin Unfiltered as a panelist. And I was on this past Friday, the December 18th edition. And we talked about Sheriff Benny Napoleon as well. Okay. So we'll share that excerpt with you. And then we know that Dionne Warwick is in the news. And she's in the news regarding Twitter. She's on Twitter. She's been tweeting. She's been tweeting about The Weeknd, the singer The Weeknd, and also Chance the Rapper and some other things. And I heard about it. And as fate would have it, she was a guest on Roland Martin Unfiltered Friday when I was a panelist. So maybe it's because I said a little prayer. I don't know. Or maybe that's because that's what friends are for. So Roland hooked that up. But I got a chance to ask her a question, and we're going to share with you that exchange with myself and Dionne Warwick. Earlier in the week, I talked about Ahmaud Arbery. There was an update in the Ahmaud Arbery case. African-American man, 25 years old, shot and killed, being chased by three white men who thought he was a burglar. So they're going to chase him with guns, hunt him down like an animal. New video appears to contradict suspect's account in Ahmaud Arbery killing. New video appears to contradict suspect's account in Ahmaud Arbery killing. CBS News has a good article about this, good reporting on this. And also their local affiliate there in Brunswick, Georgia. Now, what's interesting about this video is that is body cam video from a police officer who was on the scene. It's body cam video from a police officer who was on the scene. So it wasn't video by a passerby. Wasn't video by somebody, 1,000 feet away, or 25 yards away or something, somebody hidden in the bushes and they didn't know they were being videoed, recorded. Now, this was this was William Roddy Bryan talking to the police officer on the scene, and it was body camera footage rolling. Oh, what a tangle web we weave when first we practice to deceive. So we're going to talk about that because, this totally contradicts some of this nonsense they've been talking, especially William Roddy Bryan saying he was just a passerby. No, that's not what you told the officer of the law. Right? That's not what you told them. Okay. Then Washington Post has a story about Ahmaud Arbery. This is from a couple of days ago. This is from which date is this? This is from December 17th, which was Thursday, December 17th, 2020. Newly released video shows police did not immediately help Ahmaud Arbery as he lay dying. Newly released video shows police did not immediately help Ahmaud Arbery as he lay dying. Very interesting. When you do more research and more information comes out and it contradicts what people initially said. Okay. So we'll deal with that also. Then earlier in the week, I did this segment dealing with grown man versus grown male, and it was an excerpt from Sister Circle Live. They used to be on TV One, Sister Circle Live. This is a fairly decent show. Talk show, singer, actress Selena Johnson, and you had Rashawn Ali, who's comes from radio. You had Trina Braxton, Sister Tony Braxton, and Miss Quad, who's on a reality TV show that I never heard of before called Married to Medicine, because I don't watch a whole lot of reality TV shows. I watch Braxton's Family Values. I watch what's that one? Next Generation of Hip Hop. I forgot this. Comes on after Braxton's Family Values. But Growing Up Hip Hop. I watch Growing Up Hip Hop some. But I don't watch a lot of reality TV shows. So DeAndre Whitfield, who we first saw as Robert on the Cosby Show. He was Vanessa's first boyfriend. We all remember that, right? They had the Halloween party and Vanessa, he was dressed up as Dracula or something like that. He's written a book and he was talking about manhood and fatherhood and things like this. And he talked about the difference between a grown man and a grown male, And we talked about that a little bit earlier in the week. And I shared a segment of that broadcast, but we're going to talk about that some more, being that we have an extended show on Sunday nights. We're here 2 hours instead of 1 hour. So we'll talk about that as well. All right. And then let's see. So also December 19th, 1865 was in South Carolina. You had South Carolina enacting a law requiring contracts to call white people masters. Now, this is the same month that the 13th Amendment is ratified. This is after the Civil War ends in June of 1865. South Carolina, on December 19th, 1865, South Carolina passed a law that forced recently emancipated African Americans into subservient social relationships with white landowners, stating that all persons of color who make contracts for service or labor shall be known as servants, and those with whom they contract shall be known as masters. We'll talk about that as well. We'll deal with some history. And also, incidentally, December 20th is today is the anniversary of South Carolina in 1860, seceding from the Union about 6 weeks after Abraham Lincoln became president-elect, early November 1860, and South Carolina becoming the first state to secede from the Union is going to lead to the Civil War starting in April of 1861. South Carolina has a very, very interesting history. Oh, South Carolina has a very interesting history. South Carolina is where the Civil War started. South Carolina was the first state to secede from the Union. Imagine that. And then look who South Carolina has as a senator right now. Spineless Lindsey Graham. I think there's a connection there somewhere. So we'll discuss that also. Then we have some birthday shout outs. We know December 12th was the 80th birthday of Miss Dionne Warwick. December 13th was the birthday of one Ella Josephine Baker. Ella Josephine Baker. We talked about this earlier in the week. Ella Josephine Baker is better known as Ella Baker, civil rights activist, co-founder of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference in 1957. She helped co-found SNCC, even though she never joined, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, in April, May 1960. Okay, Miss Ella Baker. And, you know, today is, so we've been doing this posting about birthdays of celebrities and singers and things like that to lighten things up. But also it helps to teach in a different format, deal with history, things like that, the impact of music, etc. Today is the birthday. December 20th is the birth date of Kim Weston, singer and Motown alumna. Kim Weston. Now, Kim Weston, she turned 81 years old today. Hope she doesn't mind me telling you that. She doesn't look 81. You know, black don't crack. Kim Weston is in the 1960s, she scored hits with songs like Love Me All the Way and Take Me in Your Arms. But Kim Weston, probably her most popular song may be a song that people don't associate with her. So we remember Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell, right? Who could forget? Okay. Ain't No Mountain High Enough, right? So songs with Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell. But the song It Takes Two is a duet with Marvin Gaye. I thought, you know, just off the top of my head, I thought it was Tammy Terrell, but no, it's Kim Weston. And I saw this post because from the National R&B Music Society Inc. because we share birthday shout outs from them, you know, each day. And I saw they had this Kim Weston, born December 20th, 1939, and she was also on a duet with Marvin Gaye, It Takes Two. And I said, well, hold on, I thought that was Tammy Terrell. I'm from Detroit now. I'm from Motown. I thought that was Tammy Terrell. You know, just thinking off the top of my head. Maybe I had Tammy Terrell on my mind, but anyway, you know, so I had to do some research. It's like, what? No, that was actually Kim Weston. All right, so check that out. We posted that on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network. The African History Network. Happy 81st birthday to Kim Weston. Now, also today is the birthday of one Anita Ward. Anita Ward, 64 years old. Hope she doesn't mind me telling her age. 64 years old. Singer and musician. She's best known for the song Ring My Bell. And everybody remembers that song. Just go hit Ring My Bell. That song's been sampled. I mean, the Fresh Prince sampled that. So many people sampled that song. Before signing a recording contract, Anita Ward obtained a degree in psychology from Rust College in Holly Springs, Mississippi, and had become a school teacher. Now, going into the entertainment business, as crazy as those people are, I think a degree in psychology would probably help you. You got some crazy ass people in the entertainment industry. Now, while recording her debut album, record label owner Frederick Knight presented Anita Ward with a song he had written the previous year for Stacey Lattisaw. Remember Stacey Lattisaw and Johnny Gill, right? Okay, so he wrote a song for Stacey Lattisaw. He presented it to Anita Ward. Now, Anita Ward did not like the song, but Frederick Knight insisted that a dance track was needed to capitalize on the current disco trend. So Anita Ward relented and said, okay, I'll do the song. I'll do your little song. You wrote that for Stacey Lattisaw. You ain't write that for me. I'll do your little song. So she did the song, which was originally a juvenile targeted tune about teens talking on the telephone. The song was rewritten with more adult lyrics, and the result was the single, the smash hit, Ring My Bell. That's what she's known for. You know, and it was like, originally it was written for children. You remember Mr. Telephone Man by the New Edition? You couldn't write a song like that today, Mr. Telephone Man. You got cell phones. Mr. Telephone Man, is something wrong with my line? Well, you need to pay your bill. That's what's wrong with your line. you need to pay your cell phone bill. All right. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, December 20th, 2020. I don't have no sense tonight. Give us a call, 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call and number. When we come back, we'll deal with these topics. We'll talk about the passing of Wayne County Sheriff Benny Napoleon. We'll give an update on funeral arrangements for him as well, and get into these other topics. All right, we'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by, everybody. We're on commercial break. Stand by. We'll be back in 3 minutes. All right, everybody, stand by. How's everybody doing? Share this broadcasting on social media platforms. Stand by, everybody. I had to get ready for this next segment. You know, man, because how's everybody doing? Stand by. We'll be back in a couple of minutes here. All right, stand by. We're back from break in 1 minute, looks like. All right, y'all staying safe? I hope so. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. Superstation Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, December 20th, 2020. And we're live. It's been very busy. Last week was a busy week, been a busy weekend. Winter solstice is almost here, and Christmas will be here soon, and everything, everything's going on. All right. So right before the break, we were talking about some birthday shout outs, birthday celebrations, going over the topics for tonight's show. I just sent you an email, Jalen. We're going to go to the clip from Roland Martin Unfiltered, where we talked about Benny Napoleon. Okay, so we'll talk about Benny here, and okay, we'll go ahead to that clip. We'll go ahead to that segment. So on Thursday's show, about 20 minutes before the show aired, I saw on Instagram that Wayne County Sheriff Benny Napoleon had passed away of coronavirus. So this was devastating news, and I knew Benny. We were just on Charlene Mitchell's show here on 9:10 a.m. Superstation. I think that was either September or October. We were on her show together, And, of course, I knew he was in the hospital. I know some people like really close to Benny that work with him. So they've been keeping me abreast on what's going on. But, it was a devastating shock when I saw on Instagram that he passed away. And we know that coronavirus is nothing to play with. You've been hearing me talk about that. You've been hearing me talk about don't travel unless it's absolutely necessary, like travel out of state, etc. WXYZ Channel 7 had a good article. This is the one we shared initially when we broke the story on our show. Well, I think Charlene Mitchell may have talked about it earlier on her show, but we talked about it on our show because Charlene Mitchell's on at 9 p.m. I think it is 9 p.m. to 11 on Thursdays. Wayne County Sheriff Benny Napoleon dies at age 65 after battle with coronavirus. And I'm going to send this link also, Jalen. So Wayne County Sheriff Benny Napoleon has died after a battle with COVID-19. Channel 7 Action News learned Napoleon was diagnosed with COVID-19 on November 19th, 2020, and hospitalized 2 days later. He was born in Detroit in 1955 and was entwined with Wayne County long before his public service. As a Cass Tech graduate, as I am, Cass Technical High School in Detroit, graduated from Cass Technical High School as well. Benny Napoleon received degrees from Detroit Mercy and Detroit College of Law before the start of his tenured law enforcement career in 1975. A Detroit police officer, Benny Napoleon would work his way from the streets to the gang and to the gang squad and through the Nancy Kerrigan assault investigator to the top spot 23 years later. So he was a former chief of police here in Detroit under Mayor Dennis Archer from 1998 to 2001. He landed in his current role 11 years ago, appointed as Wayne County Sheriff in 2009 to replace now Wayne County Executive Warren Evans. And Sheriff Benny Napoleon was elected with 75% of the vote in 2012. A year later, he would target the highest, and a year later, he would target the highest political office in Detroit in 2013 when he ran for mayor. Now, he ran unsuccessfully as mayor. I voted for him as mayor, but, apparently not enough people did, but that's a whole nother story. But he ran for mayor after Dave Bean, former NBA great Dave Bean, served one term as mayor after Kwame, left. And Dave Bean decided not to run for another term. So Benny Napoleon ran, and a lot of people thought he would run, etc. But Mike Duggan won, who was our current mayor. So Benny Napoleon would remain as sheriff, Wayne County Sheriff, and he was reelected in 2020. Very, very popular Wayne County Sheriff. Everybody I know who knows Benny Napoleon, I haven't heard anybody who actually knows him say anything negatively about him. And that's real talk. The people who actually know him, because Thursday's show was like a really hard show for me to get through because I knew him. We weren't buddies, but we were friendly. I knew him, and I just saw him in October. We talked briefly because I was there in the audience when Roland Martin was here broadcasting Roland Martin Unfiltered. So this is a big loss. I want to go to this clip here, Roland Martin Unfiltered, and also you can give us a call 313-778-7600. You can weigh in on any of these topics. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. I want to go to this clip here from Roland Martin Unfiltered, where we talked about Wayne County Sheriff Benny Napoleon. Let's go to this clip, Jalen.
We're glad to have you here at Savannah State University.
I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. All right, folks, y'all heard the mayor there speak about COVID. Talk about sad news last night when we got word out of Detroit, where The sheriff, Benny Napoleon, 65 years old, died last night of COVID-19. It was shocking and stunning news to hear him pass away. African Americans have been greatly impacted by COVID. I've known a number of people in Detroit who passed away who are African American from COVID-19. Y'all might remember Sheriff Napoleon was on our show when we broadcast live on October 28th with Senator Gary Peters. He was on the show. He was with us, and then it was a few weeks later, when he contracted COVID. Went into the hospital around November 20th, was put on a ventilator. On that day, his daughter said that was the last time she talked to him. He was never able to recover from that. He died last night at the age of 65. Michael Imhotep, you're there in Detroit. You took the news, just like many other people took the news, very hard. Benny Napoleon was a beloved figure there in Detroit, in that county. He was from there. He was a pillar in law enforcement. And to lose him at the age of 65 to COVID-19 is just shocking.
I already knew he was in the hospital. I knew he was on a ventilator. I know people in the sheriff's department that worked with them that kept me abreast of what was going on. I found out 20 minutes before I went on the air last night to do my show at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As soon as I found out, I sent you a text and sent you some information about it, because when Benny was on, when you were here in Detroit broadcasting and Benny was on your show, I was in the audience. So it's a huge loss, devastating. He's a former chief of police here in Detroit from 1998 to 2001, if I remember correctly. He's been the Wayne County Sheriff for the past 11 years. I know people who are close to him who talk about how he wasn't just a nice guy, but he made you feel very important. Even people who didn't know him that well, he made you feel very important. I knew him somewhat. We weren't buddies, but we've been on radio shows together, and I would see him from time to time, throughout the years. And I knew people who were close to him. And, this is a huge loss. And when it comes to law enforcement, he was the type of, when you talk to people in law enforcement, he was the type of officer and sheriff and person in charge of law enforcement. He was the type that you would want. Okay, he was the type when we talk about holding police officers accountable in general, and we talk about police reform, things like this. He's the type of officer that you would want. So, he's a graduate of Cass Technical High School, my alma mater as well. And this is just a huge loss for the county of Wayne, for the city of Detroit. So people here in Detroit are devastated. And a few months ago, we lost Donna Faye Collins, who was another Wayne County sheriff. He passed away of COVID-19 as well. Benny's brother, Henson Napoleon, who is the chief of police in Highland Park, Michigan, which is an enclave of Detroit. He was hospitalized with COVID-19 for something like 70 days, 75 days. He survived. And, we all thought Benny was going to make it, but unfortunately he did not.
Yep. Pause it right there, Jalen.
So last night's show,
keep going.
That was a tough show for me to get through.
The die of COVID-19. A number of people in that department have died of COVID-19. So it shows you the impact of this disease. It also shows you, Dr. Carter, frankly, the failure of the Trump administration. Even though the vaccine is out, we're already hearing right now how they are pulling back vaccines to blue states or Republicans. I mean, they are penalizing people who have been crippled.
Hey, Jalen, pause it right there.
This is how evil and sick.
Pause. Okay. All right. So that's from the December 18th, 2020 edition of Roland Martin Unfiltered. You can watch it in its entirety on Roland's Facebook page, Roland Martin on Facebook, also on YouTube, Roland Martin on YouTube. We'll post a link here on the thread of the broadcast. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. And I just sent you a clip from WXYZ Channel 7, also Jalen. So let me know when you have that queued up. So funeral arrangements have been announced for Benny Napoleon. Click on Detroit, Channel 4 here in Detroit. Click Channel 4 News. Click on Detroit.com. Funeral arrangements announced for longtime Wayne County Sheriff Benny Napoleon. There will be a on Sunday. Funeral arrangements were announced for Benny Napoleon. There will be a public viewing on Monday, December 28th at Swanson Funeral Home from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Family members announced on Facebook Sunday. Swanson Funeral Home is located at 806 East Grand Boulevard in Detroit. 806 East Grand Boulevard in Detroit. Swanson Funeral Home. A live stream of the event will be available on the Swanson Funeral Home website. Okay, a live stream of the event will be available on the Swanson Funeral Home website. Then on Tuesday, December 29th, a public viewing will continue from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Greater Grace Temple Church here in Detroit, located at 2500 West 7 Mile Road in Detroit. 2500 West 7 Mile Road in Detroit. Benny Napoleon will be officially laid to rest in a private funeral, family members say. Okay, so you can check this out at clickondetroit.com, and the different news outlets. WXYZ I know has it also, but I saw it from clickondetroit.com, Channel 4, and we have this posted on our Facebook pages also. Okay, I want to go to this clip here from Channel 7 WXYZ. This is the on their Thursday night, I guess it was their 11 o'clock news broadcast. This is a story they did on Wayne County Sheriff Benny Napoleon. Let's go to this clip.
Going to go live now to 7 Action News reporter Kimberly Craig.
She talked to the sheriff's daughter and his right-hand man, who will never forget that last phone call. Kim?
Absolutely, Dave and Glenda. 4 weeks ago today, Sheriff Napoleon called his chief of staff, Michael Turner. He said he was on the way to the ER, but he told him, "I got this."
Still in shock when he discovered that he was positive. I never for one moment thought he wouldn't beat it. Here's a man who looked danger in the face for over 45 years.
But last night, Sheriff Benny Napoleon passed away after a battle with COVID-19. Today, the first day his right-hand man, Michael Turner, came to work knowing his dear friend and boss would never be back.
Men and women in this agency have to get up and come to work. He would expect me to suit up, man up, and come in. And here's where I am.
COVID is vicious, and though it affects people differently, some people don't have symptoms. Some people have very, very severe symptoms. I think we have to be compassionate because, you know, we don't know the fate of people. So we can say, oh, well, it won't hit people that bad. We never know.
And Sheriff Napoleon's daughter, Tiffany Jackson, could not have imagined that the wickedness of COVID would wreak so much havoc on her dad's body that it would take his life, leaving her son without the shadow that followed him on weekends.
He loves my son. My son is 13 years old, and he would call him his favorite hooper. And he would always say, you know, when I retire, my only job is going to be traveling to watch my boy hoop.
If I had a scheduled event, he said, man, I ain't doing that. I got a basketball game to go to. Give it to somebody else.
Anywhere my son was playing and my dad was available, it didn't matter how far.
I walked through the door with him 12 years ago. We would my first call in the morning and my last call at night. And he always said, man, if anything happened to me, just make sure Tip and Malachi taken care of.
And I think it's incumbent upon us to look out for the least among us in that, because there's always someone who is not as fortunate as you happen to be.
He was called to be a public servant, and he fulfilled that calling for 45 years. And I don't think that he had one regret behind his career as a public servant.
Pray for us. And understand, it's real. COVID ain't went nowhere. Don't be scared of that shot. Be scared of COVID.
And we're live outside 1300 Bolivian, just right near Greektown. And this was police headquarters when Benny Napoleon was Detroit's chief of police. There'll be a lot of memories and certainly a lot of people that will miss him. Back to you.
All right. So that was from Channel 7. That wasn't the exact clip I wanted. That's part of the article. They have a few clips there. So everybody check that out. That's from Channel 7 WXYZ here in Detroit. And this is making national news. You know, I talked to people who are close to the sheriff. They said they're getting the calls and text messages from people all around the country. This article from Channel 7, Wayne County Sheriff Benny Napoleon dies at age 65 after battle with COVID-19. Okay. I want to go to this next clip here. This one here gave a synopsis of his life. This is from Channel 7 News as well.
Hearts are heavy tonight with this breaking news. We're about to bring you Wayne County Sheriff Benny Napoleon, a friend to a lot of people and a beloved person out of the city of Detroit, has died from COVID-19 at the age of 65.
Napoleon has been hospitalized for several weeks battling the virus. 7 Action News reporter Brian Abel with a look at the incredible impact he had in his many years of service to the community.
Wayne County's history with Sheriff Benny Napoleon was entwined long before his public service. From the beginning, born in Detroit in 1955, a Cass Tech grad, Napoleon received degrees from Detroit Mercy and Detroit College of Law before the start of his 10-year law enforcement career in 1975. A Detroit police officer, Napoleon would work his way from the streets to the gang squad and through the Nancy Kerrigan assault investigation to the very top spot some 23 years later.
The next chief of police, Benny Napoleon.
He served as DPD's chief from 1998 to 2001. Napoleon landing his current role 11 years ago, appointed as Wayne County Sheriff in 2009 to replace now County Executive Warren Evans.
I'm never nervous. This is what I do. I'm doing what I do.
Napoleon would be approved to continue doing it in 2012 with an overwhelming 75% of the vote. A year later, the sheriff would target the highest appointed political office in Detroit as the city faced bankruptcy. Running for mayor in 2013 to replace Dave Beam, Napoleon would go up against a write-in candidate named Mike Duggan. Remaining as sheriff and re-elected in 2020, Napoleon, known as a tough enforcer.
We're going to send a very clear message. We're involved in a very sophisticated fight with people who want to deal drugs.
Did you abuse your power here?
Absolutely not.
A leader with a soft side.
I think it's incumbent upon us to look out for the least among us in that, because there's always someone who is not as fortunate as you happen to be.
At times, a consoler-in-chief, as was the case during one of his final public appearances in September, when Corporal Bryant Searcy was killed in the Wayne County Jail.
Over my almost now 46-year career, I've had to do this too many times, and I struggle.
3 members of Wayne County Sheriffs would succumb to COVID-19, and Napoleon's brother, Highland Park's police chief, spending 75 days in the hospital with the virus. But Napoleon, unable to overcome, diagnosed November 19th, hospitalized 2 days later. Wayne County Sheriff Benny Napoleon losing his battle with coronavirus at age 65.
Okay. All right. Thanks. All right. Thanks, Jalen. So that was from WXYZ Channel 7 also. They did some good reporting. A lot of, they weren't the only ones that did good reporting here in the city of Detroit. So I don't want to make it seem like that. 9:10 a.m. Superstation's own Bankalay Thompson wrote a really good opinion piece for the Detroit News as well. And he's on, he's a writer for the Detroit News also. He wrote a good piece also. Okay. So 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Being that we're talking about coronavirus, let's stay on this topic here. And on our because I'm on Monday through Friday now, because I do radio 6 days a week, on a Sunday night show, I want to try to have some fun with it because I got to deal with depressing stuff all week. I mean, like, literally. Uh, so I try to change things up some with the Sunday night show. Now we'll talk about some history and things like this, and people that want to hear about black tragedy. We got killed by white people. We'll talk about that, but I don't want to do 2 hours of that. So, but since we talked about coronavirus, there was Sheriff Benny Napoleon. This past week, a smoking gun came out from the Trump administration. We're going to go to this clip from the readout, Jalen. We want them infected. We want them infected. Politico broke this story. Trump appointee demanded herd immunity strategy, emails reveal. We want them infected. Trump appointee demanded herd immunity strategy, emails reveal. Then HHS science advisor, Health and Human Services, then HHS science advisor, Paul Alexander, called for millions of Americans to be infected as means of fighting COVID-19. So what medical school did you go to? Because when you study doctors, right, they take an oath to do no harm. What medical school did you go to? A top Trump appointee repeatedly urged top health officials to adopt a, quote, herd immunity, end quote, approach to COVID-19 and allow millions of Americans to be infected by the virus, according to internal emails obtained by a House of Representatives watchdog and shared with Politico, politico.com, Politico. Politico has some really good articles. I'm on to about 35 different news sources on a daily basis. Okay. And I get email newsletters from Politico. They have some good stuff. All right. So if you like this type of information we share with you, also like that you can donate. I don't think I said that earlier in the show. We forgot to do our opening. But you can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App. Then also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. Okay, so that helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting, etc. Especially now that we're here 6 days a week. Okay, because my whole sleep pattern and all that stuff has changed. I'm still trying to figure half this stuff out. But anyway, I mean, seriously, I haven't done 6 days a week or even 5 days a week radio since 2016 when I was doing nasty syndicated radio. And I said I wasn't going to do that again, but here I am. So, but Health and Human, then science advisor for Health and Human Services, Paul Alexander, wrote on July 4th to his boss. He said, quote, "There is no other way. We need to establish herd immunity. We need to establish herd immunity, and it only comes about allowing the non-high risk groups expose themselves to the virus. Period. 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 Kind of like Fred Sanford, SANFORD, period. He said, period. There is no other way. We need to establish herd, and it only comes about allowing the non-high risk groups expose themselves to the virus, period." Now, he wrote this on July 4th, 2020. That's supposed to be Independence Day, right? I guess they were trying to become independent of coronavirus. He wrote this to Health and Human Services Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs, Michael Caputo, and 6 other senior officials. Paul Alexander wrote, quote, infants, kids, teens, young people, young adults, middle age, with no conditions, etc., have zero to little risk. So we use them to develop herd. HERD. We use them to develop herd. We want them infected. End quote. This sounds more diabolical than the Tuskegee experiment of untreated syphilis in the Negro male. Because when you actually study that experiment, and I have, they didn't inject the men with syphilis. The men already had syphilis. There were 600 men in the study. 399 had an early form of syphilis called latent syphilis, L-A-T-E-N-T, latent syphilis, which is the early stage of syphilis, which means you have syphilis, but you don't have any symptoms. Okay, there were 201 men in the study. They were the control group. They didn't have syphilis. The study was a terrible study, but at least they didn't purposely expose them men to syphilis. That's what they're doing here. That's what it was suggested. Let me put it like that. That's what he said needs to happen. He said they need to infants, kids, teens, young people, young adults, middle age with no conditions, etc., have zero to little risk. So we use them to develop herd. We want them infected. Okay. This is what he's saying. Tuskegee experiment, they were denied treatment even after penicillin in the 1940s became the treatment for syphilis. These men weren't even told that they had syphilis. But they didn't say, let's purposely expose them to syphilis. This is what they're saying here. Let's purposely expose them so they develop herd immunity. I want to go to this clip here from the Readout, Joanne Reed, MSNBC. So on December 16th, 2020, that was Wednesday, December 16th, 2020, Joanne Reed did a segment here. We want them infected. Trump HHS appointee pushed for herd immunity. Let's go to this clip.
Today, the chairman of the House Select Committee on the Coronavirus, James Clyburn, released a memo showing political interference in the national coronavirus response. The report says that top Trump administration officials repeatedly communicated about pursuing a dangerous herd immunity strategy as far back as June 2020. The Trump administration was aware its policies would not only fail to stop the spread of the virus, but would lead to an increase in cases. Quote, there is no other way. We need to establish herd, and it only comes about allowing the non-high-risk groups to expose themselves to the virus. The memo also includes an email from an HHS senior advisor that urged colleagues to suppress scientific information about the risk posed by the virus to minority communities that he admitted was very accurate out of concern that it would be used against the president. I'm joined now by Dr. Bernard Ashby, Miami-based cardiologist and Florida State lead for the Committee to Protect Medicare, and Dr. Ashish Jha, Dean of the Brown University School of Public Health. And Dr. Jha, I'm going to go to you first. This is the memo. For those of you who you can see that on the screen, here it is. This is the memo that's come out today. And I just want to read a little bit of it, which is some of the most, frightening things I've ever read. And both the Rachel Maddow show and this show, we've been talking about the sort of the evidence, right, that there's been a herd immunity strategy, but it was circumstantial until now. Here it is. There is no other way, as I read before. We need to establish herd. It only comes about allowing non-high-risk groups to expose themselves to the virus, period. We continue the public health message of proper hygiene, hand washing, protecting elderly at your homes and nursing care facilities, social distancing, and so on. But we go on and let our societies open up fully now. That's in all caps. If the hospitalizations occur in young and they get severe illness, then that's a different story. And we will then have a huge mess on our hands and real nightmare. But that's not the case as of now. One more bit. Infants, kids, teens, young people, young adults, middle age with no condition, etc., have zero to little risk. So we use them. We use them to develop herd. We want them infected. We want them infected and recovered with antibodies. Dr. Jha, that's some of the scariest stuff I've ever read. That apparently was the official policy, at least the policy and memos of our government. Your response?
Joy, thank you for having me on. It's pretty stunning, and it makes me think of a few things. First of all, there are a group of people, Scott Atlas, certainly one of them, the White House advisor, but others who have advocated this strategy of kind of let it rip and get lots of people infected. By most calculations, we would have potentially many, many times the number of people dead as we already have right now. So this seemed to be what they were doing, and they were having this debate when no serious person in public health actually thought this was a reasonable strategy. It is stunning to see it actually written down and argued in this way, but it confirms a lot of suspicions that many of us had that this is not the way to control this pandemic.
And that it was not accidental, and it was not just incompetence, Dr. Ashby. In your state, in the state of Florida, my former state, you had the governor there demanding that schools reopen, saying you can't even make them cyber, open them all, opening Disney World, opening bars, saying everyone go to the beach, telling people to basically go in and live your life, go to the bar, knowing people would get infected. This expose in the Sun Sentinel suggests that he was pursuing the same strategy. Talk about how dangerous that would be, because they're also apparently saying, but don't tell people how many minorities are catching it because that would look bad for the president.
I enjoy. So, Bandit Florida greetings for you. But listen, this is part of a pattern that we've seen.
Hey, Jalen, pause it right there for me. Pause the clip right there for me. Pause it right there. Back it up about 30 seconds, okay? And we're going to go, we'll back it about 30 seconds. I'm going to go back to it right before we go to the break. I want people to pay attention to what Joanne Reed just said. They wanted to infect infants, kids, teens, young people, young adults, middle-aged people, etc. They didn't want so-called minorities to understand what was going on because that would look bad for the president. Now, Donald Trump was trying to appeal to African Americans with this fool's gold plan during the election. I told you it was a fool's gold plan. He called it a platinum plan. I said, no, it's a fool's gold plan because only a fool will go for some BS like that. Now, at the same time, he's trying to deceive African Americans with a fool's gold plan. And then he brings out people like Lil Wayne, and Lil Wayne endorses it. Now, Lil Wayne may have been temporarily insane. He may have been high, something like that. Okay. But at the same time, he's trying to deceive African Americans with a fool's gold plan. And he's got these black conservatives lying to us, telling us why we should vote for Donald Trump. At the same time, they have a plan to expose not just quote unquote minorities, not just non-white people. They expose non-white people to this also. But this is diabolical. This is something you got 330 million people in the US. You're talking about exposing them to a potentially deadly virus. Now, it's not most people who get coronavirus don't die. That's true. But you got over 300,000 people who are dead now. And if you get it and survive, a lot of people have long-lasting side effects from it as well. I mean, this is something that reminds me of Adolf Hitler. This is something on a whole nother level of evil. Let's go back to this. We'll do another 30 seconds to a minute, and we'll go to break.
Most serious person in public health actually thought this was a reasonable strategy. It is stunning to see it actually written down and argued in this way, but it confirms a lot of suspicions that many of us had. This is not the way to control this pandemic.
And that it was not accidental, and it was not just incompetence, Dr. Ashby. In your state, in the state of Florida, my former state, you had the governor there demanding that schools reopen, saying you can't even make them cyber, open them all, opening Disney World, opening bars, saying everyone go to the beach, telling people to basically go in and live your life, go to the bar, knowing people would get infected. This expose in the Sun Sentinel suggests that he was pursuing the same strategy. Talk about how dangerous that would be, because they're also apparently saying, but don't tell people how many minorities are catching it because that would look bad for the president.
I enjoy. So, Bandit Florida greetings for you. But listen, this is part of a pattern that we've seen from the beginning where the Trump administration and DeSantis, basically his mini-me, expressed that they preferred to protect the economy over lives. And they framed it as a mutually exclusive thing. And we understand that it's not mutually exclusive. If they simply did their job, our economy would be thriving and people will still be alive. And so from the beginning of the pandemic, when they didn't report hospitalizations proactively and delayed that, so we had no idea what the actual hospitalization count was, to the time now where we're talking about delaying the reporting of the deaths.
Yeah, pause it right there. We got to go to break. Pause it right there. We have to go to break. We'll continue this on the other side of the break. I want you to back that up about a minute, Jalen. This is some devastating stuff. Now, in 2016, when Donald Trump asked African Americans, what the hell do you have to lose? I told you the correct answer was everything. And Governor Ron DeSantis, I guarantee you, if Andrew Gillum had become governor, he would not do no stupid stuff like this of Florida. You listen to the African History Network show right here, 9 10 a.m. Superstation Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by, everybody. All right, everybody, stand by. We'll be back from break, I think, in 4 minutes. Everybody share this broadcast on your social media platform. So this is why I talk about birthday stuff and other stuff, because this is some deep shit. I can't deal with this every day. African American business owners supposed to name your business here on the thread of the broadcast. Email us at customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com. Stand by. We're on break. Okay, when we come back, we'll continue with this a little bit, and then we'll change topics. We're going to talk about grown man versus a grown male. Everybody stand by. How's everybody doing? All right, we're broadcasting on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network, our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep. Stand by. I got to get ready for the next segment. Stand by, everybody.
And get this 13-piece knife set, a $175 value, yours free. Try Cooklet Aero Fryer for 30 days. If you don't love it, send it back. But keep the 13-piece knife set. It's our gift to you. We're in the next 10 minutes, and we'll include free shipping. Call now or go online to air2fry.com. That's air2fry.com.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery.
I'm Sam Riddle. Happy holidays.
I'm Bankole Thompson. Have a happy holiday.
We wish you to be safe and merry.
From us to you.
WSDF 910 AM Superstation wish you and your family a safe Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
WSDF Farmington Hills, Detroit, 910 AM Superstation, a division of Adele Media.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, December 20th, 2020, and we are live. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number. If you have a question or comment. So as I said before, on a Sunday night show, I try to change things up because I got to study this stuff 6 days a week and cover this 6 days a week. And some of this stuff is depressing. And I don't want to depress you all 6 days a week, maybe 5, but even during the week, I try to change, we try to have a balanced show. So we're going to go back to this clip here. Now, once again, this is from December 16th, 2020, the readout on MSNBC, Joanne Reed. The name of this clip is, we're going to post a link here on the thread of broadcast. I want you to go watch this. And all these conspiracy theorists, all these Negroes out here spreading all this misinformation about coronavirus, share this with them. And let me just say this here, right? Let me just say this. And some people may not like it, but it wouldn't be the first time I said something you didn't like. I've had people ask me about the vaccine. And my response to the vaccine is my response to other things dealing with health and medicine and things like this, right? Consult your doctor. I've said this before. Consult with your doctor. Consult with a medical professional, especially your doctor. Your doctor knows more about your medical history than somebody on YouTube or TikTok or Facebook or Twitter talking about some stuff, and half the time they don't even have medical credentials. So I'm not saying you should take the vaccine or not. I'm saying consult with your doctor. But because I don't take flu vaccines, but I don't get the flu. If I was more prone to it, if I was older in age, and my doctor recommended the flu vaccine, okay, it's something I consider. But I wouldn't tell people don't take it, and I don't know your medical history. I don't know whether you have pre-existing conditions. I don't know if you are more prone to catching coronavirus. Consult with your doctor. Because don't take medical advice from people that don't have medical credentials. Because if something goes wrong, now what? What do you do then? You're going to probably have to consult with somebody that has medical credentials. Well, hell, you should have done that in the first place. So you have some people, and if people say they're leery about the medical industry because of the Tuskegee experiment, once you research and actually understand what it is, okay, that's understandable, but that ended in 1972. But it is understandable. If you want to talk about African-American women dying, a higher propensity of, high rate during childbirth, and, different things with the medical industry, and how, studies dealt with med school students who, a certain percentage thought that African-Americans had a higher pain tolerance, things like that. Well, yeah, you still dealing with racism, etc. I understand that. Those are all legitimate concerns. I'm not saying we shouldn't ask questions of vaccines, but who the hell you ask the questions to? Ask questions to people with medical credentials who've researched this. Okay, but here's the thing that sometimes I find perplexing. Now, this may go outside the circumference of some people's awareness, or could be talking about you. I find it difficult when people talk about not taking the vaccine. And I'm not saying you should or should not take the vaccine. I'm saying consult with your doctor. Okay. But here's the thing. For the people, I find it interesting when you got a certain segment of people who say they're not going to take the vaccine, right? But they'll go to the store and buy a pack of Cools or Newports or Virginia Slims or Marlboros. And right on the side of the package, there's a warning label from the Surgeon General that says smoking is hazardous to your health, dumbass. And is linked to cancer. Now, you don't talk about Tuskegee when you smoke nicotine, and there's a warning label right on the side of the package. You don't talk about Tuskegee then. You don't say maybe they're putting something in nicotine or in cigarettes with menthol, because menthol appeals to African Americans more. We don't talk about Tuskegee then. I'm not saying we should not ask questions. I'm saying let's be consistent. I ain't never heard anybody go buy some Newports or some Cools, smoking cigarettes, talking about Tuskegee. And there's ingredients in nicotine, from my understanding, it's not even on the package. Do you talk about Tuskegee when you use your Viagra or Cialis? I'm not saying we shouldn't ask questions. I'm not saying we shouldn't be skeptical. But let's be consistent. When you use prescription drugs and they tell you all these side effects, you talk about Tuskegee then? So I just find it very interesting, When you go to the marijuana dispensary owned by white people to buy your marijuana that they said is legal, and you smoke it or ingest it, whatever you do with it, you talk about Tuskegee then? You talk about, they could be putting something in the marijuana. All these black people in line to give these white people their money. Do you talk about it then? Because I don't use marijuana. I don't smoke it, ingest it, none of that stuff. I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink malt liquor. And malt liquor is mainly sold in African-American neighborhoods, has a high alcohol content. We don't talk about Tuskegee then when we talk about malt liquor. We talk about, and if you want to talk about the experiment, talk about the mustard gas experiment during World War II, when African-American soldiers were exposed to mustard gas to find out the effects of mustard gas, and white soldiers were the control group and they weren't exposed to mustard gas. I've done a whole lecture dealing with the Tuskegee experiment of untreated syphilis in the Negro male. I also talked about the World War II mustard gas experiment. That was an experiment where African Americans were actually exposed to it. They were deliberately exposed to mustard gas. They weren't deliberately exposed to syphilis in Tuskegee. They were denied treatment. The mustard gas experiment in World War II, they were deliberately exposed. African American soldiers were deliberately exposed to mustard gas. So I'm not saying don't be skeptical. I'm just saying be consistent in your condemnation. You know, you smoke cigarettes and don't talk about Tuskegee when you smoke cigarettes and talk about what's in the nicotine. And there's a warning label on the side from the Surgeon General that tells you this is hazardous to your health. Okay. All right. So somebody said not to mention the grease and fried chicken. Yeah, we talk about all that stuff, but I'm just like, I've heard some of the dumbest ass stuff in the past few days. It's like, okay. All right. Oh my God. So consult with your doctor. Ask him about that marijuana you smoke. Ask him about the cigarettes you smoke. Ask him, is this Viagra all right for me? All right. And like with Viagra and Cialis, they tell you in the commercial about side effects, and people take that anyway. They don't talk about Tuskegee. I ain't having an erection for 4 hours. They don't say, oh, this is a plot from the man. This is a plot from the man. Trying to make me pass out. They don't mention it then. All right, so that's enough of that. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number. If you have a question or comment, 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Okay, so I want to go back to this clip here from the dealing with the treachery, and I mean, this is just diabolical coming from the Trump administration. We haven't even talked about I haven't even really talked about the Russian hacking that's taking place of at least 6 government agencies. We'll deal with that on the Monday night show. I don't want this show to be too depressing. And Trump has said very little about it, and he's trying to distract and say, oh, maybe it was China. I told you in 2016 and early 2017 that Donald Trump is the first Russian president of the United States. Now you see what I'm talking about. Okay. I told you 2016 that Donald Trump is the first Russian president after he won the election in the early 2017. Donald Trump is the first Russian president of the United States. And all that stuff that I said has turned out to be true. Okay. And after he leaves office, we're going to find a whole lot more as well. Okay. I want to go back to this clip here from the readout. Joanne Reed is dealing with these bombshell emails. It was the House Oversight Undercommittee that Representative James Clyburn chairs. They were the one to expose these emails. Let's go back to this clip, Jalen.
Expose in the Sun Sentinel suggests that he was pursuing the same strategy. Talk about how dangerous that would be, because they're also apparently saying, but don't tell people how many minorities are catching it because that would look bad for the president.
I enjoy. So, and Florida greetings for you. But listen, this is part of a pattern that we've seen from the beginning where the Trump administration and DeSantis, basically his mini-me, expressed that they prefer to protect the economy over lives. And they framed it as a mutually exclusive thing. And we understand that it's not mutually exclusive. If they simply did their job, our economy would be thriving and people will still be alive. And so from the beginning of the pandemic, when they didn't report hospitalization proactively and delayed that, so we had no idea what the actual hospitalization count was, to the time
Now, where we're talking about delaying the reporting of the death, it's part of a consistent pattern. And now DeSantis has essentially prevented other mayors and leaders of municipalities from doing anything to restrict the virus. And so he says he's not pursuing herd immunity, but his actions speak louder than words. And so the rhetoric that he's saying doesn't square with what he's doing. And we can attribute hundreds of deaths in the state of Florida to his specific policies, because he doesn't think, DeSantis doesn't think in scientific terms. He thinks in very political terms, economic terms, and doesn't really understand the complexities of the science. And unfortunately, it has led to unnecessary death.
Okay. Pause right there. I think that's the end of the clip. We're going to post it. I want people to check out that clip in its entirety. There's some really, really good reporting from Joanne Reed, the readout on MSNBC. And that was an African-American doctor speaking, by the way. I've seen him a number of times. He's really, but they talked about Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida. And Governor Ron DeSantis wanted to open back up the economy, open back up restaurants, school, all this stuff, right? I remember back in 2018, the November 2018 midterm election, and Andrew Gillum, who's African-American, was running to be the governor of the great state of Florida against Ron DeSantis. And I heard some African-Americans saying, Andrew Gillum does not have a black agenda. Now, you've heard me talk before about black agendas and things like this, but policies don't have to say black or African-American to be beneficial to you. And they don't have to say black or African-American to hurt you. What people didn't say was that Ron DeSantis had an anti-black agenda. And the anti-black agenda is worse than not having a black agenda. There's a difference between someone not having policies that are specifically for you, but policies that can still benefit you. Raising the federal minimum wage from $7.25 an hour to $15 an hour is not specifically for African Americans, but it's going to lift 40 million people out of poverty, many of them African Americans. When we see that African American women make on average about 60, I think it's 67 cents on the dollar, 66, 67 cents on the dollar. In some states like Louisiana, it's 47 cents on the dollar. When you raise the federal minimum wage from $7.25 an hour to $15 an hour, that disproportionately positively impacts African-American women. African-American men also, yes, but African-American men tend to make more on the dollar than African-American women. Okay, but the policy doesn't say black or African American. But there's a difference between not having a black agenda and having an anti-black agenda. There's a difference when somebody's purposely trying to hurt you and do you harm. So, and I guarantee you right now, if Andrew Gillum was governor of the state of Florida, things would have been handled much differently dealing with coronavirus. You have a lot of black people who would still be alive. You would have a lot of people in general in Florida who would still be alive, and you have less cases of coronavirus. This is an example of how elections have consequences. They referred to Governor Ron DeSantis as a mini-me to Donald Trump. Okay, so check that out. Now, this next clip here, this is Representative James Clyburn, who chairs a House Oversight Committee undercommittee. And this was the committee that got these emails and really exposed what was going on. He was on Meet the Press Daily with Chuck Todd. I'm not a big fan of Chuck Todd, but he does sometimes, even a broken clock is right twice a day. Let's go to this clip, Jalen.
Congressman, that's where I want to begin. And right now you are doing some oversight. You are leading the oversight on what's happening with government funds and things like this. But you're also discovering a lot of troubling things. We've got, and that's what came out of your committee, this herd immunity attempt email. We've also got what we've learned from those CDC staffers who spoke with the New York Times. Do you believe we need a 9/11 style commission, the Iraq Study Group, Warren Committee, you name it, right? Great crises in America have gotten us important commissions to make sure we don't make the same mistakes again. Do we need this?
We may, and I think that's something the new administration may need to take a look at. My committee, however, is to provide oversight. When Congress makes the expenditures, as they've done here, my select committee is to take a hard look at how the money is being spent to make sure that it's being done efficiently, effectively, and equitably. And that's what we're doing. And it was in the course of carrying out these responsibilities is when we saw these or heard the testimonies and now seeing some documents that indicate that what the White House was saying was totally different from what was going on. And we have found that to be the case in other instances as well. They were sending information out to state governments saying one thing, while at the national level, they were saying just the opposite. So that's the way this administration has operated. And so what we're doing in the select committee is having the public take a look-see at what this administration is doing, and hopefully we'll do what we can to correct it.
All right. I know we're coming up on a break here. Check out that clip from MPT Daily, Meet the Press Daily, December 17th, 2020. Rep. Jim Clyburn may need a 911 style commission to investigate COVID response. That's MSNBC.com. And no, I think we have a minute before the break here. On the other side of the break, I'm going to deal with this topic dealing with grown man versus grown male. Grown man versus grown male. DeAndre Whitfield, who we first saw on the Cosby Show as Robert, he was on Sister Circle Live a few months ago, and he was talking about the difference between a grown man and a grown male, and how a grown man is there to be of service, and a grown male is there to be served. A grown man adds positivity to your life. A grown male takes away from you and wants to be served. And he was talking to the ladies on Sister Circle Live. Also, we'll deal with some new disturbing updates in the Ahmaud Arbery case, and we'll deal with some history as well. There's a new, we'll talk about the Chadwick Boseman and Ma Rainey, and then also Cynthia Erivo is going to star, actress Cynthia Erivo, who portrayed Harriet Tubman. She's going to star in and produce a film about an enslaved Yoruba girl who became a gift to the Queen of England. FaceToFaceAfrica.com has an article about that as well. All right, you listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by, everybody. All right, how's everybody doing? Stand by. Okay, we got John Ray, African American business owners, post name your business here on the thread of the broadcast. Email us at customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We have new ads going up Monday. I'm working on recording ads. I'm working on your ad, John Ray. Working on some other ads also. It's been hectic. Okay, everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. How's everybody doing? Okay. All right, is that Carl? Okay, we got Carl, Charlotte. How you doing, Charlotte? Robert. Some of the people watching here. Stand by. I gotta get ready for this next segment here. Okay. We deal with grown man, grown male. Stand by. All right, so everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. Has anybody seen the movie about Ma Rainey, starring Chadwick Boseman and Viola Davis? Has anybody seen that? You can give us a call, 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600, and let us know what you thought about it. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation of Future Radio. I'm your host, brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, December 20th, 2020, and we are live. And all I can say is January 20th, 2021 can't come here soon enough. This fool just totally lost his mind. There was a meeting that took place, I think it was Friday at the White House. Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. What? I guess a traitor would have a traitor at a meeting. He's telling Donald Trump how he can institute martial law and seize voting machines in battleground states and things like that, and force a new election in battleground states. Just total nonsense. No wonder President Barack Obama had to fire his stupid ass. Remember, President Barack Obama fired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, and then when Trump won and came to the White House, and Trump in 2 days after Donald Trump won the presidential election through the Electoral College, became president-elect, he went to the White House and met with President Obama. But President Obama told him, don't hire Lieutenant General Michael Flynn as your national security advisor, because I had to fire him. And the idiot did it anyway. We'll talk about this Monday and Tuesday. You know, I didn't want to deal with this on tonight's show, but dude, January 20th can't come here soon enough. So, and once again, tonight's show is sponsored by the Jim James, Paul and Tyrone Moving Company. The Jim James, Paul and Tyrone Moving Company has a special promotion for people moving from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Now, it's only good for one day, January 20th, 2021. Use promo code DJT, pack your stuff. DJT, pack your stuff. Get 75% off. Okay? For the Jim James, Paul and Tyrone Moving Company. Call 1-866, call Tyrone. And I'll even let you use an Obama phone to call Tyrone. All right? This is for entertainment purposes only. Okay? Just we had to put that disclaimer out there. This is for entertainment purposes only. But I'm serious also. Pack your stuff. Okay. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. All right. So on Sister Circle Live a few months ago, DeAndre Whitfield, who's married to Sally Richardson Whitfield, he's a lucky man. Oh my God, Sally Richardson. But anyway, he talked about the difference between a grown man and a grown male. We talked about this earlier in the week, but I wanted to deal with this on the Sunday night show. And you can give us a call and let us know what you think. Let's go to this clip. He's talking about relationships and manhood, things like this. Let's go to this clip, Jalen.
Everything that you're doing as you do it. That's out of respect for your partner.
What do you say to men who don't understand exactly what it means to be a man?
Well, it's very difficult. First of all, it's difficult to explain this to what you're probably referring to is what I refer to as grown males. Mm-hmm. There's a huge difference between being a grown male and being a man.
Somebody ought to shout it.
So every
about that difference.
Okay, so every man that you meet is a male, but not every male that you meet is a man.
Hello, somebody.
So your man, the man that you meet is about his conscious knowing that he has been sent here to be a servant leader. So you all come first. So whenever you come in the room, you don't have to ask a man whether he is a man or not. He will show you who he is based on what he does. So a man comes in the room to say, sister, you need me to get that? Right. I got that. No, put that down. I got that. Grown male walks into the room looking to serve himself first.
A grown male.
A grown male.
I mean, it's a
so a man looks to be of service. A grown male looks to be served.
Oh, my God. Listen, I'm almost got the ball. I to leave. I don't know what else to do. I need you to, no, seriously. A lot of women are in relationships with grown males and in marriages with grown males. And then you end up getting divorced because you were in a marriage with a grown male and not a man.
Exactly that. So here's what I want you to think of.
All right.
Think of yourself in a relationship, in a home, in a bed with a boy who is 15 years old, who just took over the body of a 35-year-old male. Mm-hmm. That's really what that equates to. Yes.
Wow.
Go ahead. No.
Iyana Banzant said one time, which really resonated with me. She said that sometimes when people go through trauma, whatever age that they're at, they stay there if they don't heal from it.
Yes,
so in that instance, a lot of our men are lacking this fatherhood that you were speaking of in the break.
That's right.
Could this be what is happening with our men, that they're never really healing from those wounds, from not having the man in their life, and they just carry on throughout life?
His development was arrested at whatever that age was. So he stopped matriculating into manhood at that point. Yes. So let me give you an example. I actually cheated in my life in my early 20s because, and I'll never forget this, I actually cheated on, and I'm not going to say who that is to protect those that, right? So I actually didn't want to do that. And I was disappointed that I actually did. Mm-hmm. So I began examining why I did that. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget this. I got to a point, my father was in and out of jail my entire life, right? So without having, my mother did a phenomenal job of introducing me to the principles of manhood. Mm-hmm. But actually walking out manhood is the job of a man. Yeah. My mother can't teach me to be something she's not.
Right.
That's the misconception. Right. Your mother cannot teach you how to be a man because she's not a man. Let me give you an example. If you want to become a chef, my mother taught me how to cook. So I'm a man who knows how to cook, but it doesn't make me a chef.
Right.
If I want to be a chef, I got to get under the tutelage of a chef.
Yes.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So my father actually had me, and this was probably at the age of around 11. My father had me in the car, and he said to me, I love your mother. And it made me feel so good because a child just wants to hear that his father loves his mother. But at the very next moment, he looked out the window and whistled to a sister across the street. The messaging that I got from that was, you can love a woman, but then be in lust with a bunch of others. Mm-hmm. So what that taught me was, this behavior is okay. Mm-hmm. If that's good for my father, then that's what I should be doing too.
So at what point did you say, I can't live my life like this? I can't be a cheater. I can't be a deceiver. I can't be someone who's going to betray someone's trust. At what point did that light bulb come on for you?
I'm going to tell you, the moment that it came on in parts. So when I got married, I said, okay, I gotta make sure that I am living my life out in integrity in that space. Mm-hmm. And then 2 years later, my daughter was born. And I said, man, you are going to be held accountable not only by your wife, not only by God, but your daughter has been sent to you as a living, breathing example of exactly what you are supposed to put into this world. Mm-hmm. So everything that you want for her, you better deliver to your wife.
Mm. And this is over. Yes, it is. Good night. Thank you.
All right, pause it right there, Jalen. All right, you can give us a call. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number. If you have a question or comment, 313-778-7600 is the call-in number. Hey, back it up to about 3 minutes and 30 seconds into that clip, Jalen. I'm gonna go back to that in just a second here. So I wanted to talk about this. I saw this when it originally aired. So this is from July 31st, 2018. And I thought it was early this year, but no, this is July 31st, 2018. I saw when it originally aired. And then I thought about this a couple of weeks ago. And I searched for it, and it's on YouTube and it's also on Facebook as well. So I posted it a couple of times, and I talked about how I am a grown man. I'm here to be of service, and I'm here to, a grown man is there to enhance your life, to be of service, to support, etc., as opposed to a grown male that's there to be served. But DeAndre Whitfield talked about a grown man, and he talked about a grown man has a conscious knowing that he has been sent to be a servant leader, sent by God to be a servant leader, but to enhance the life of a woman, to enhance your life. So I wanted to get you can give us a call if you have a question or comment on that. And some women just totally blown away by it. The sisters on the show on Sister Circle Live, they're about to fall out of their chairs. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Rob in San Diego. Rob, welcome to the African History Network show. Thanks for holding. Go ahead with your question or comment.
I got a comment. I got a question.
Go ahead.
Comment.
Okay.
I was wondering, how can us as maybe Black journalists or people in the community really hold politicians accountable, and also be for like the surrogates that support these politicians that really are detriment to our communities?
Okay, how do you hold them accountable?
Yeah,
that was the question. Okay, a few things. One, we have to understand policies and the laws of the community, city, state, county, whatever municipality you're dealing with. The reason why I say that is because a lot of times people, out of frustration, may complain to the wrong person about something. To give you an example, here in Detroit on another radio station, and I won't say the name, but on another radio station, a few years ago, you had the president of the Detroit City Council who would come on, I think, once every 2 weeks, once a month, something like that, to field questions from the listening audience, to be a service. Well, 75% of the questions and complaints that people got were dealing with things that the mayor controlled and city council didn't control. Now, they were legitimate concerns, but people didn't understand the difference, so they didn't know who's behind the kick. So the first, you understand what I'm saying? Hello?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And here goes my rant, because I'm familiar with history and everything, and I understand it. And a lot of people, and let me say it plainly, because this is a Black face, right?
Mm-hmm.
Black folk got to understand, just because they are of a higher, just because they're Black and just because they're Black and in a political position doesn't mean they're always in your favor. You know what I'm saying?
Right, that's true. Because Dr. Ben Carson is an example. Dr. Ben Carson is an example, Secretary of HUD.
You know what? I can go even Secretary of HUD. We can go Clarence Thomas. I can go on the West side.
Right.
Here on the West Coast, freaking all the gentrification going on. South Central is different. Compton's different. Inglewood is hope in a few years they'll probably gone.
Right.
They'll probably gone.
And I've been to Inglewood. So let me do this, man. Let me do this for the sake of time, because we only got like 23 minutes left in the show, and for the sake of time, and I know you got another question or comment. So let me just say it like this. First, you have to understand, if you didn't like with a local municipality, what have you, you have to understand what are the responsibilities and the powers of that particular position that you're trying to hold somebody accountable to. Okay, that's one. Two, what may be necessary. So people can protest and things like that, show up to the city council meetings, etc. But it may come to the point where you got to run a better candidate, finance a better candidate that whose policies better match with their constituents, and run that person out of office. Another thing that can happen, but a lot of people don't do, is to put economic pressure on the corporate entities that help to finance that person's campaign that you have a problem with. Because a lot of times that people don't talk about that. When you start attacking the corporate entities and leveraging, I'm not saying you specifically, I'm just speaking in general. Okay, so I don't want you to take this personally, but a lot of times people don't look at that option. Okay, so there are a number of different things, that can happen. But one of the first things that has to happen. Something else is very important that a lot of people overlook. When people see, if you talk to African American elected officials, they'll tell you how white constituents put pressure on them, calling their offices, complaining, call their offices, telling them how they want them to vote on a particular issue, emailing them, showing up to their office, organizing, things like this. I've talked to African American elected officials. A lot of times, African Americans are less reluctant to do that. And give you an example. Wayne County Sheriff Benny Napoleon, who just passed away, there was a radio show he was on another radio station some years ago. A caller, African-American female, called in. She was complaining about an issue in the city of Detroit. Benny Napoleon, even though he was the sheriff, Wayne County Sheriff, and Wayne County is the city that Detroit is in, he used to be part of city government. He was the former chief of police here in the city of Detroit. He walked her step by step. He told her exactly who to call and what to say to address her issue and get the result that she wanted. Her response was, they don't want to hear from me. Now he's telling her exactly what to do. So the other thing is, now this probably doesn't apply to you specifically, but you may know some people this applies to. A lot of times, because we've been so psychologically damaged, we think our voice doesn't matter. Our concerns don't matter. Okay, so we also have to understand how to leverage that as well, not just leverage our vote, leverage our economics, etc. But when people organize and start really voicing their opinions, that puts pressure on elected officials as well. So it's a multitude of things. But the first thing people have to do is understand the responsibilities and the power of the actual position that the elected official holds that you're trying to put pressure on. Because sometimes, and I've seen this happen a number of times, sometimes what people are complaining about may be legitimate, but you're complaining to the wrong person. That's not the person who can impact what it is you're complaining about. Okay, go to your next point, because we got other callers also, man. We only got like a few minutes left in this show.
Yeah. My subject is just a comment. Thank you for explaining to the viewers about that. Because we got to understand in this climate, we can't, especially hopefully if they can win 2 Georgia seats.
Yeah.
We can't.
January 5th.
This is about to be. This is Democrats. Yeah. This is about to be a pivotal moment of some Black and American in diaspora, because after this pandemic is over, it's going to be the rebuilding. And we can't miss out on this. We're going to put the backburner.
It's going to be a reconstruction. It's going to be, just one second, I'm going to let you finish. It's going to be like reconstruction after the Civil War ended. That's what this is going to be like, man. It's going to be a reconstruction. Go ahead.
Yes, you're right. And we can't have the compromise of 1877. We can't have Newport News going to and shaking hands and saying, okay, we're going to give you back states' rights, basically give states' rights back to the southern states so they can make segregation. We can't have that. We got to have Ulysses Grant come in here and actually protect and do for Black folks, because it's going to be crazy. And just because they're Black and elected officials doesn't mean they're for favor. I mean, we had Mayor Bradley here in LA years ago.
Mayor Tom Bradley.
30, 40 years ago. It's been a long process. When he did the stuff downtown. Not only that, we had a Black DA here in LA who we had to run out. We had to run her.
What was that Black DA's name? That was Jackie. What was that Black DA's name?
Jackie Lacey, I think. Jackie Lacey.
You are right. Yeah, I heard about that. Right. So here's the thing, because we got to wrap this up. Just because they're African American doesn't mean they're good. They may be or may not be, but we have to understand that they are ultimately accountable to us. whether they're African American, white, Latino, Asian, they still have a constituency to serve. The constituency is not people who voted for them. It's people who live in their city they're responsible for. So a mayor is the mayor of everybody in the city, not just the people that voted for them. Okay. So they have to, so whoever is in office has to be held accountable, regardless of race, political affiliation, gender, whether you like them or not. Whoever's in office has to be held accountable. Okay, man. Call back tomorrow. Call back tomorrow night, because we're on Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time. Okay, I gotta get to these other topics. Okay, but thanks for calling in from San Diego. All right. Do we have any more callers, Jalen? Okay. Okay, I find it interesting. Nobody want to talk about grown male or grown male. They're commenting here on social media, but they don't want to call in. It's funny because sisters will talk about this all day long on social media, but they don't want to call in and talk to me about this. Now, okay, maybe I'm scared of some people. I don't know. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. All right. Now, has anybody seen the movie about Ma Rainey on Netflix? Okay, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I haven't seen it yet. I'm busy, and at some point I have to look at the inside of my eyelids because it's been hectic. But Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is finally out on Netflix. So it debuted this past Friday. Stars Viola Davis as Ma Rainey and Chadwick Boseman. Now, Chadwick Boseman, this is his last movie role. He's getting rave reviews for his performance. TheGrio.com has an article about this. The triumph of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is finally here. The movie's executive produced by Denzel Washington. Okay, now remember Denzel Washington and Viola Davis and Fences. It was a fantastic. That's a hell of a movie, Fences. I give you that pumping heart. I mean, I watched that over and over again. That's a fantastic movie. And it was an excellent performance by Denzel Washington and Viola Davis in that movie. But Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is directed by George C. Wolfe. It's a film adaptation of the 1982 stage play by August Wilson. And the movie is ripe with remarkable performances from the cast that also includes Coleman Domingo, Glenn Turman. Okay, remember Glenn Turman. Okay, Colonel Taylor from A Different World. But people from another generation remember Glenn Turman from Cooley High. Okay, his role in Cooley High, and incidentally, he played Preach in Cooley High. He played Glenn Turman. He wanted to be a writer. The TV show What's Happening is loosely based and inspired by the movie Cooley High. When you do the research and you read the I think Donald Bogle talks about it in the Encyclopedia of Blacks in Film and Television. I got it behind me right here. This encyclopedia right here, Blacks in American Films and Television, and Illustrated Encyclopedia. And they talk about all the TV shows that had a significant African American character and movies up until 1988 when this book came out is in here. What's Happening is in here also. But the TV show What's Happening, because Raj wanted to be a writer, it's loosely inspired by the movie Cooley High. So we saw Glenn Turman in Cooley High. We saw him in A Different World, which is one of my favorite all-time shows, A Different World. Michael Potts and Taylor Page, okay, are in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Now, the film is set in Chicago during the summer 1927. The film is a celebration of the transformative power of the blues, as well as an exploration of themes that have transcended the times and are still relevant today, such as race, culture, faith, sexuality, music, and trauma. And these were themes that we would see in blues music and in music by African Americans, whether it's rhythm and blues, whether it's jazz, all different types of things like this. Okay, so Ma Rainey's Black Bottom follows the fearless and fiery Ma Rainey as she and her band, she's a singer performer, as she and her band come to town to attempt a one-day recording session of her music. Despite the crushing circumstances of the time, Ma Rainey. So 1927. This is 2 years before the Great Depression. Okay, 2 years before the stock market crash of October 1929. And during this period of time, 27, you have a rise in the power of the Ku Klux Klan. This is going to be the year before the 1928 presidential election, when Herbert Hoover is going to win the presidential election, and Republicans use this implements the Lily White movement of 1928, which is a movement to push African Americans out of the Republican Party. And African Americans are going to start shifting over to the Democratic Party. Okay, that wasn't in 64. That goes back to 1928, the Lily White movement of 1928. So this is 6 years after the attack on Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, June 1921. This is 4 years after the attack in Rosewood, June of 1923, the Rosewood Massacre. This is 7 years after the Ocoee, Florida massacre of November 1920. Okay, which was when African Americans were exercising their right to vote and they were attacked by it, and Julius July Perry was killed. You have something like 50, 60 African Americans that were killed. This is in Ocoee, Florida. All right. So all these things are taking place leading up to 1927. All right. This was the year after the first celebration of Negro History Week, the 2nd February in 1926, created by Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who co-founded the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, September 9th, 1915. And this is during a period of time when you have what's known as the New Negro, who these African-American men coming back home from World War I ending in 1918. And there's about 388,000 African-American men who served in World War I. They come back home with a new sense of pride, a new sense of self-esteem and self-respect. And they're called race men, and they're fighting for their race. They're fighting for first-class citizenship. We want all of our rights now. Okay, so these are things that are taking place. This is during the Great Migration, which is from 1915 to 1970. 6 million African Americans migrating out of the South up north and out west. So all this is taking place during this period of time. And then you had the Marcus Garvey movement. As well, the UNIA, Universal Negro Improvement Association, in the 1920s as well. Garvey goes to prison in about 1923, if I remember correctly, but the UNIA still existed. So you have all this taking place, going on right in this time period. Okay, so Black Bottom follows the fearless and fiery Ma Rainey as she and her band come to town to attempt a one-day recording session of her music. Despite the crushing circumstances of the time, Ma Rainey is a force in full control of her power, which she knows comes from her voice and reputation as Mother of the Blues. Okay, let's go quickly to the phone lines. Let's go to Latoya, line 1. Latoya, welcome to the African History Network show. Tell us where you're calling from.
I am calling from Virginia.
From Virginia. What city in Virginia, if you don't mind telling us?
Alexandria, the DMV area.
Okay, the DMV area, Alexandria. Okay, go ahead with your question or comment. Thanks for calling.
So I was calling in regards to the grown men versus grown male discussion.
Yes.
And I believe I posed a question before in regards to if a man cheats, does that make him a grown male or a grown man?
Well, that's not exactly you can comment on that, but that you can comment on that. That wasn't exactly the question I was asking. You can comment on that, but that wasn't the question I was asking. I was asking, do you agree with his analysis of the difference between a grown man and a grown male? It wasn't specifically the cheating. You can comment on cheating if you want to, but that wasn't exactly the question I was asking. But go ahead.
Well, I do agree to a point, but what I'm saying, well, a lot of people, they surround infidelity around being a grown man versus a grown male. And I think it's a pattern of behavior that you have to look at, and also the upbringing of the individual as well. If they're used to seeing that and they grew up around that, they're socially conditioned to that, and that is the way that they think in the moment until they become enlightened with more knowledge.
Well, yeah, that was the example DeAndre Whitfield was giving. He was talking about how his father said that he loved his mother, referring to DeAndre Whitfield's wife. And then the next second, his father was whistling at a sister across the street. So he said in his mind that taught him that you could be in love with a woman, but lust after women. And it took him a long time to realize how, you know, that's wrong, because he saw that example from his father.
Right.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Okay, sister.
I just wanted to hear your point on that.
Okay, sister. Thanks for calling. Okay, keep listening. We're here 6 days a week. All right. Take care. Okay, let's go back to this, and we're going to continue this discussion on our social media platforms. So those watching on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, and my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, keep watching. Also, I want to let you know that visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All of my DVD lectures are there. We have a bunch of orders shipping out this week. We have a 15 DVD bundle pack, right? We know African American History Month is coming up, and a lot of people in Kwanzaa is coming up as well. We have this Black History Month 15 DVD bundle pack, includes 15 of my lectures dealing with all different topics. And that's on sale right now at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And it also includes a presentation I did dealing with the history of Christmas, Ancient Kemet, the winter solstice, and the history of Christmas. It's a 3-hour presentation that I've done. The 3-hour presentation I've done dealing with hundreds of years of history going back, and it deals with the origins of Christmas, going back to the Roman festival of Saturnalia. It ties into ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt. So that's in that bundle pack. Also, a Black Panther analysis, African culture, history, and Afrofuturism. It was an almost 3-hour presentation I've done dealing with the film Black Panther. So check that out at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We just posted the link here on the thread of the broadcast. It's Michael Imhotep Black History Month 15 DVD bundle pack. And we have DVDs you can buy in a bundle or individually, and we have them on digital download as well. Okay, so going back to this article dealing with Ma Rainey, it says Viola Davis truly transformed for the role of Ma Rainey, and her efforts pay off in every way as she channels the woman who won't take an ounce of BS from anyone, be it a police officer after a fender bender or her white managers trying to control her music. Okay, we'll continue this discussion on the other side of the break. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. On the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's correct wrong behaviors, not over till we win. Wakanda forever. Stay tuned for Pastor Mo. We'll talk to you Monday night. Peace. All right, everybody, stand by. We'll be back in a minute here. Stand by. Let me disconnect from the radio station. Everybody stand by.
Respect for your partner.
What do you say to men who don't understand exactly what it means to be a man?
Well, it's very difficult. First of all, it's difficult to explain this to what you're probably referring to is what I refer to as grown males. Mm-hmm. There's a huge difference between being a grown male and being a man.
Somebody ought to shout it. Right there.
So every
talk to us about that difference.
Okay,
yes.
so every man that you meet is a male, but not every male that you meet is a man.
Hello, somebody.
So your man, the man that you meet is about his conscious knowing that he has been sent here to be a servant leader. So you all come first. So whenever you come in the room, you don't have to ask a man whether he is a man or not. He will show you who he is based on what he does. So a man comes in the room to say, sister, you need me to get that? Right. I got that. No, put that down. I got that. Grown male walks into the room looking to serve himself first.
A grown male.
A grown male.
It's a
so
difference,
a
guys.
man looks to be of service. A grown male looks to be served.
Oh my God. Listen, you got I'm almost about to walk out.
I can't believe. I don't know what else to do.
I need you to no, seriously.
Yes,
This
this is the real thing.
A lot of women are in relationships with grown males and in marriages with grown males.
Okay. Once again, that was from Sister Circle Live, DeAndre Whitfield breaking it down. Okay, everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Okay, we're here for a little while longer. We're here in overtime. Hey, if you like this type of information, also you can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, then also through PayPal. PayPal.me/the AHN Show, PayPal.me/the AHN Show, and at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Okay, so that helps us to keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting 6 days a week, etc. Let's go back to this, and y'all can post your comments here. So Viola Davis fully transformed herself for the role of Ma Rainey. She makes it clear that her opinion is the only one that matters, and anyone or anything that gets in her way is easily expendable. Anyone or anything who gets in her way is easily expendable. Okay. Let's continue here. This is a good article from the Griot.com. Now, she nods at the uppity men and women whose eyebrows furrow when she strolls through the lobby of a hotel, switching her sizable hips while arm in arm with her lover, Ducey May. Ducey May, played by Taylor Page. Taylor Page. She dismisses the notion that her best days are behind her, swatting away the idea that music is changing or that her protege, Bessie Smith, is outshining her. She cares nothing about the white men who only need her to sell records and try to shortchange her every step of the way. And she has no patience for anyone else's input, least of all the opinion of her cornet player, played by Chadwick Boseman. Now, Boseman plays the ambitious cornet player who is determined to stake his own claim on the music industry. The performance is truly remarkable and worthy of all the posthumous award chatter it's already prompting. The actor Chadwick Boseman infuses so much depth to the character who exemplifies the eternal torment carried around and covered up by so many African Americans at any given time. Okay. So we'll talk about this some more on our Monday night show. And I'm going to watch it as well next couple of days. It's been so hectic, but I'm going to watch it also. Guess I need to renew my subscription to Netflix. Because I don't, usually I just watch Netflix once a month. And I've been so busy, I haven't watched it lately, but they sent me an email. So I guess I need to go here and renew my subscription. So I'll check it out. Okay, so that's dealing with Ma Rainey. Some of this dealing with Ahmaud Arbery, we'll talk about on Monday night show. We'll go to this clip here from, I dealt with this early in the week, but we'll go to this clip here from CBS News. They had a really good article from December 15th, 2017. We ran out of time on 10 a.m. Superstation. We're here Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we talked about this earlier in the week. But video appears to contradict suspect's account in Ahmaud Arbery case. And I want to go to this clip from CBS News here in just a second. There's body camera footage that surfaced that in this new video cast doubt on one suspect's version of what happened. Okay. Remember the press conference that William Roddy Bryan had? He's sitting on the couch. I think he's on the couch with his wife. And he's saying he had nothing to do with it. He's just a passerby. Well, you know, that ain't exactly what you told the police. That's not what exactly you told the police on the scene of the crime, the scene of the incident. Let's go to CBS News and see what they had to say about it.
New video has surfaced in the killing. Tonight, new video has surfaced in the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. He is the 25-year-old black man who was gunned down in February while his family says he was out jogging. The new video casts doubt on one suspect's version of what exactly happened. Here's CBS's Omar Villafranca.
This police body cam video taken just moments after Ahmaud Arbery was killed shows investigators standing near the young man's body. In the video, obtained by our Jacksonville station WJAX, officers are seen talking to William Roddy Bryan at the crime scene.
You're a passerby coming through? Nah, not necessarily.
Bryan recorded the deadly February.
Wait a second. The police officer, I'm going to back this up. I want y'all to hear this again. I don't want you to say, oh, I couldn't hear. I was watching, you know, Ma Rainey or something. The police officer asked him, you a passerby? And he said, not necessarily. Now, I'm not sure. Now, here's the thing. I'm not sure if William Roddy Bryan realized he was being recorded. His body camera, but, you know, he's just a good old boy, never meaning no harm. Beats all you ever saw get in trouble with the law since the day he was born. So he may not know how body cameras work or, you know, whatever. So I don't know if he knew he was being recorded, but here's what he said.
Bryan at the crime scene.
You're a passerby coming through? Nah, not necessarily.
Bryan recorded the deadly February 23rd confrontation on his cell phone. His video shows Arbery running through a Brunswick, Georgia neighborhood with Greg and Travis McMichael chasing him in their truck. It ends with Arbery shot and killed by Travis McMichael. The video was leaked in May, months after the killing, and immediately sparked national outrage. The McMichaels were arrested and charged with murder, and Arbery's family also wanted Bryan behind bars.
I had nothing to do with it.
Before his arrest, Bryan maintained his innocence, saying he had nothing to do with the confrontation and killing of Arbery. But the new body cam video reveals a different story.
I pulled out of my driveway, was going to try to block him. He was going all around it, and I made a few moves at him, you know, and he didn't stop.
Bryan was eventually arrested and.
Okay, now I'm gonna pause it right there. I'm gonna back it up. I want you to hear what he said. I want you to say, "Oh, the internet was buffering." I didn't hear what he said. He told the police there on the scene, moments after Ahmaud Arbery was shot. He said, quote, I pulled out of my driveway, was gonna try to block him. He was going all around it. I made a few moves at him, you know, and he didn't stop. You just a passerby? At the press conference, when you're sitting there with your wife holding her hand, you said you didn't have anything to do with it. But you didn't say this at the press conference. Because, see, what happened was, I don't think these good old boys knew that this was going to become a national story. So the police showed up. So sounds like he told the police what happened. He didn't know this was going to become a national story. There are going to be people protesting across the country, justice for Ahmaud Arbery. When this thing blew up, because see, what happened was when the video of Ahmaud Arbery being hunted down and shot and then later dies, he's laying there dying. And Washington Post has another story we'll talk about briefly here, where officers did not immediately give him, Ahmaud Arbery, medical attention when they arrived on the scene. After this whole thing blew up and they couldn't control it, it became a national story. Now he's trying to put the manure back in the horse. He said, oh, I was just a bystander. That's not what you told police, though. Either you were lying then or lying now. Which one is it? Because you told police you were going to try to block him. Oh, let's go back to this clip here.
Charged with, my driveway, confrontation and killing of Arbery. But the new body cam video reveals a different story.
I pulled out of my driveway, was going to try to block him, but he was going all around it, and I made a few moves at him, and he didn't stop.
Brian was eventually arrested and charged with murder. All three men have pleaded not guilty and were denied bail.
I just spoke with Brian's attorney, Kevin Goff, who still maintains that his client was nothing more than a witness to the shooting. In a statement, Ahmaud Arbery's mother, Wanda Cooper Jones, says she wants all the suspects held fully accountable by the law. No trial date has been set. Nora?
Omar Villafranca, thank you.
Okay, so I want to get this straight. You was just a bystander. You trying to help apprehend him, but you just a bystander. You trying to block him, and he's going around, but you just a bystander. But you ain't tell. But when he was asked by police on the scene, the police asked him, "You're a passerby or coming through?" And William Roddy Bryan said, "Not necessarily." But that's not what you said in the press conference sitting next to your wife when this whole thing blew up and you trying to stay out of prison. So, you had a lot of people who were complaining about body cameras and saying body cameras are not foolproof. Some people say, oh, body cameras aren't any good, anything like that. Oh, yes, they are. No one ever said body cameras were the solution to police brutality. There's not, nobody, they didn't say it was a silver bullet. But oh no, body cameras can become very effective, especially when you got somebody like this who want to say one thing in a press conference, but body camera footage contradicts them on the scene of the crime. No, body cameras, they come in handy if they're on, Oh, but no, body cameras come in handy. So check out this article here from NBC News. This is CBS News, cbsnews.com. New video appears to contradict suspect's account in Ahmaud Arbery killing. You mean a good old boy was lying? Now, the video was obtained by CBS Jacksonville affiliate WJAX, and it shows officers talking to William Roddy Bryan at the crime scene. Okay, so shout out to WJAX. They're doing some good local reporting. All right, we need that. So then you had there was one also thegrio.com has an article. Body cam video shows William Roddy Bryan telling police he repeatedly tried to block Ahmaud Arbery car. To block Ahmaud Arbery, it should be with car. Then December 17th, which was Thursday, newly released video shows police didn't immediately help Ahmaud Arbery as he lay dying. Newly released video shows police didn't immediately help Ahmaud Arbery as he lay dying. This is from the Washington Post. Ahmaud Arbery was still alive when police arrived in the minutes after he was fatally shot, but officers did not immediately tend to him and showed little skepticism of the suspect's accounts on the scene. Newly released body camera video shows. Newly released body camera videos, plural, videos show. The videos filed in court provide a comprehensive account of what happened after police and then emergency medical technicians arrived at the site of the shooting, one of the many killings of African Americans to spark outrage and accusations of racism this year. Now, authorities waited months to make arrests, acting only after cell phone footage went viral online and drew comparisons to a lynching, or what many people call in the modern day lynching. I'm one of those people. Prosecutors say 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery was jogging in a residential neighborhood of coastal Georgia when 3 white men, good old boys, now charged with murder, chased and fatally shot him on February 23rd, 2020. The men, one a former local police detective, his son, and a third man who filmed the encounter, said they pursued Ahmaud Arbery in their trucks, suspecting he was behind neighborhood break-ins. Well, really, it was a break-in. They suspected really he was breaking into a construction site of a house. What the hell is he gonna steal? He's running down the street with a bunch of 2x4s strapped to his back. And when what happened was, during this investigation, surveillance footage, the owner of the home that's being constructed released surveillance footage. It showed other people wandering onto the site, looking around, stuff like that. They weren't chased. They weren't hunted down. They weren't chased in cars with guns and tried to be blocked in. They didn't end up dead. Interesting. So all 3 have pleaded not guilty, with trial timing unclear amid court system backlogs caused by the coronavirus pandemic. A now recused prosecutor defended their actions this spring as a part of a quote unquote lawful citizen's arrest, arguing that defendant Travis McMichael had grounds to use deadly force in self-defense. Cell phone footage shows Ahmaud Arbery jogging past McMichael and his father, Greg McMichael's truck, then struggling with Travis before being shot. Now, police declined to comment, citing an ongoing investigation and saying that the first officers to arrive on the scene were unavailable to speak. Now, attorney Benjamin Crump, who's an attorney representing Ahmaud Arbery's family, said in a statement that the newly released footage confirms what we had long suspected. Confirms what we had long suspected about the third man who filmed Ahmaud Arbery, William Roddy Bryan. Quote, the footage clearly documents that Bryan used his truck to block Ahmaud Arbery from escaping the McMichaels. With the murderous team of Bryan and the McMichaels exposed for the world to see, we are confident that this will bring us one step closer to justice for the Arbery family, end quote. Now, William Roddy Bryan's lawyer reiterated that his client was merely a witness to the shooting, and the lawyer for Gregory McMichael said that the body camera footage boosts defendants' trustworthiness by allowing, quote, us all to witness them in the immediate aftermath of a horrific event, end quote. He said, this is not a case of white racist vigilantes upon seeing a black man innocently jogging down the street in their mostly white neighborhood, decide to arm themselves, jump in the pickup truck, chase, trap, and then execute him because he's black, end quote, attorney Frank Hogg wrote in an email. Well, there were other people who went to that site where the construction of the house was going on, and they were wandering around, looking around, things like that. How many of them did y'all chase down? I'm fair. Okay. This ain't about race. How many white people did y'all chase down? I'll wait. Those white people who live there. What other people y'all chased down with cars and had guns? Where are they? So check out the rest of this article here from the Washington Post. Newly released video shows police didn't immediately help Ahmaud Arbery as he lay dying. So I wonder when they're going to give an explanation on that. Very interesting. That's from the Washington Post, December 17th, 2020. All right. Let me put these together so I don't get this stuff mixed up. Okay, that's Ma Rainey. Some of this, we're going to get some of this Monday night. Cynthia Erivo, the movie with her portraying a Yoruba girl. We'll deal with that Monday night. I don't have time tonight. And let me see something here. The clip with I got to cue it up anyway. We'll do it that Monday night from Roland Martin Unfiltered with Dionne Warwick. We'll deal with that on Monday's show. I don't even have I haven't had time to cue the clip up either. I had to find the segment of it. It's been really busy. Y'all just have to bear with me. Okay, I just want to make sure these 4 things we did discuss. Okay. All right. And we gave funeral arrangements for Wayne County Sheriff Benny Napoleon. We talked about that. Channel 4 News, just to reiterate, has information on that. Click on Detroit.com. Funeral arrangements announced for longtime Wayne County Sheriff Benny Napoleon. There will be a public viewing on Monday, December 28th at Swanson Funeral Home from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Family members announced on Facebook on Sunday, December 20th. Swanson Funeral Home is located at 806 East Grand Boulevard in Detroit. 806 East Grand Boulevard in Detroit. A live stream of the event will be available on Swanson Funeral Home's website. Okay. Then on Tuesday, December 29th, the public viewing will continue from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Greater Grace Temple Church in Detroit, located at 2500 West 7 Mile Road. 2500 West 7 Mile Road. This will be a public viewing Tuesday, December 29th, 2020, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then Benny Napoleon, Wayne County Sheriff Benny Napoleon will be officially laid to rest in a private funeral, family members say. So check this out at clickondetroit.com. Also at WXYZ channel7.com. They have information there also. Okay. We deal with that. How's everybody doing? We got Willie, John Ray, Toya. Okay. African American business owners, email us at customer service at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, customer service at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network also. Okay. And we create a 30-second and 60-second video commercial for your business at no additional charge. The video commercial will air when we rebroadcast these shows on our social media platforms. We usually rebroadcast them a number of times throughout the day, these various shows. And then also, in the audio podcast format of these shows, we're on 9 different audio podcast platforms. We're on iHeartRadio and iTunes and Castbox and FM Player and TuneIn. People will hear the audio commercial of your show. The people will hear the audio commercial for your business also when they listen to the show as well. So email us at customer service at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right. Lastly, December 19th, 1865. We'll get to the last story here. December 19th, 1865. South Carolina instituted a law that required requiring contracts for African Americans to enter where white people are called masters. This comes from EJI.org, Equal Justice Initiative. And incidentally, December 20th is the anniversary of South Carolina seceding from the Union. That's the anniversary of South Carolina seceding from the Union. We may talk about that more on our Monday night show, okay? Because I mean, we have a lot to talk about on the Sunday night show, and I'm trying to spread this stuff out and not spread myself thin as well. South Carolina enacted law requiring contracts to refer to white people as "quote unquote" masters. Now, well, maybe I shouldn't say that, but you know, let me put it to you like this. There was a story a few months ago, and it was something dealing with is a white man wanting the black woman to call him master or something like that. And because I was talking to a friend about the story, a female friend of mine about the story, but it didn't have nothing to do with slavery, right? it, it was some domination. It was some BDSM stuff. It was some dominatrix stuff. Okay, whatever it was. It was some a whole another level. All right. This is not one of those stories. This is dealing with racism. Okay, this ain't one of those master slave, because it was something dealing with master slave, right? But it wasn't racial. it was dealing with sadomasochism and all this other stuff. Okay, so I just found it interesting. But so on December 19th, 1865, South Carolina passed a law that forced recently emancipated African-American citizens into subservient social relationships with white landowners, stating that, quote, all persons of color who make contracts for service or labor shall be known as servants, and those with whom they contract shall be known as masters. Okay, all persons of color. This is actually what it said in the actual law. It's 1865. They're talking about people of color. All persons of color who make contracts for service or labor shall be known as servants, and those with whom they contract shall be known as masters, end quote. Now, following the Civil War, which is 1861 to 1865, and emancipation, many freed African Americans in the South remained subjugated by their former white enslavers. Okay, now, the Union troops that are in the South are going to work to enforce the rights of African Americans to a certain extent. That is true. Okay, but we're going to see an increase in the rights of African Americans being violated after the Compromise of 1877. Okay, after the Compromise of 1877. All right, which ends Reconstruction and the Union troops are moved out of the South. Now, in South Carolina and other former slave-holding states, many freed people continue to reside in the same communities, sometimes on the same land, working for white people who had previously claimed they, quote unquote, owned them as property, previously claimed that they owned them as property. Now, freedmen had limited opportunities. The former slaves, they were referred to as freedmen. Okay. Which is something very interesting. So after the Civil War, like you have the Freedmen's Bureau, the U.S. Bureau of Freedmen, Refugees, and Abandoned Lands, the Freedmen's Bureau. After the Civil War, the former slaves are referred to as freedmen. So why do we refer to ourselves as descendants of slaves and not descendants of freedmen? We understand they were formerly slaves. I'm just saying. I'm just in general. Because when you look at after slavery, they refer to as freedmen. Or we talk about former slaves. But a lot of times we refer to, it's like skipping over generations, so to speak. Because it's like, oftentimes we don't, if we use slavery as a reference point, many times we don't refer to ourselves as the descendants of former slaves if you're using slavery as a reference point. Some people don't necessarily use slavery as a reference point. We're descendants of African people. They don't necessarily use slavery as a reference point. But if you do, they don't say descendants of the freedmen or black freedmen or necessarily former slaves. it's kind of like holding them in a state, not geographical state, but physical state, holding them in a state that they were actually freed from. You understand what I'm saying? The enslaved Africans were freed. But oftentimes in our mind, we still refer to them as slaves, but they were freed from that state, the physical state. Now, yeah, you deal with racism, white supremacy, and Jim Crow laws, all that stuff. I understand that. I understand that better than most people. But when you go look at that time, like during Reconstruction afterwards, they refer to as freedmen. But oftentimes, when we deal with this history, we reference them in a state of bondage. But they were freed from that state. Now, yeah, they didn't get the economic compensation and reparations, all that. I understand that. But it's like we keep trying to put our ancestors back in a physical state that they were freed from. And even back at this time, they're called freedmen. I just find it interesting. I'm not necessarily saying somebody's wrong. I just find it interesting. So in South Carolina and other former slaveholding states, many freed people continue to reside in the same communities, sometimes on the same land, or working for white people who had previously claimed they owned them as property, quote unquote, owned them as property. Freedmen had limited opportunities to earn money to support themselves and their families, and often continued to work as manual laborers in slavery-like conditions. Now, it's also important to understand that the African Americans during slavery, from 1619 to 1865, there were at least 262 skills, trades, and crafts that African people had in this country from 1619 to 1865. We didn't just pick cotton and cook food for the master, things like this. We were blacksmiths, we were barrel makers, barbers, anchor makers, engineers. We dealt with agriculture. We tended to animals. We had skills in grooming animals and tending to animals and breeding animals. We worked in sawmills. We were coppersmiths. So we dominated the skilled trade. See, this is a part of history that's not really talked about. We dominated the skilled trades. The other thing that's important to understand is that when African people are brought from Africa here, and also coming from the Caribbean, either coming from Africa directly from the Caribbean, or they're already in the Caribbean, when they're being enslaved in this land, they already have skill sets. Those skill sets are being used on the plantations or the environments that they're in, because all African people who were enslaved were not on plantations. A lot of them were, but all of them were not on plantations. So oftentimes we act like when they come to this land through the transatlantic slave trade, however they got here, somehow what they knew just automatically evaporated. And the skill sets that they have, whether it's dealing with medicine, whether it's dealing with metallurgy, working with metals, whether it's dealing with agriculture, oftentimes we act like that knowledge just automatically evaporated. No, it didn't. It was being used here. So there was a there was when I teach about this, there was intellectual capital that African people brought with them to this land also. So freedmen had limited opportunities to earn money to support themselves and their families, and often continued to work as manual laborers in slavery-like conditions. So when you read books like, and then we're gonna wrap this up in a minute here, because hell, I just did 2 hours, and we ain't about to do 3. When you read this book, How White Folks Got So Rich: The Untold Story of American White Supremacy. This book deals with it. When you read like Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson and other books deal with it also. Before the Mayflower by Lerone Bennett Jr. Okay, Before the Mayflower by Lerone Bennett Jr. After chattel slavery ends in 1865, right after that, you're going to have a lot of national labor unions created, like the National Labor Union created in 1866. These were labor unions created by and for white men to protect jobs for white men, to lock African Americans out of these jobs that we have been doing for 246 years for free. Because now that we're free and we can compete for jobs, and then you have like the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which gives African Americans, especially African American men, the same right as a white man, like entering into contracts, things like this. Now that we can compete for jobs, and our skill set is as good as white people, and in many cases better, now we're being locked out of these unions. These unions are being created to lock us out of these jobs that we have been doing for free, and to push us back into agriculture, to try to lock us back into agriculture, because the agricultural workforce had just been freed. Black codes enacted following emancipation sought to maintain white control over freedmen and perpetuated the exploitation of African Americans, perpetuated the exploitation that African Americans had experienced during slavery. South Carolina's black codes, like others, contained many laws that applied only to African Americans. The new law passed on December 19, 1865, required black quote unquote servants to work from dawn to dusk and to maintain a quote unquote polite demeanor. South Carolina reached even further into African American laborers' personal lives, prohibiting apprentices to marry without their master's permission. This made it illegal for an apprentice to marry without their master's permission. And it forbade farmers living on their master's land to have visitors. And it imposed a curfew. Okay, South Carolina reached even further into African Americans' personal lives by prohibiting apprentices to marry without their master's permission. It forbade farmers living on their master's land to have visitors, and it imposed a curfew. Now, there are going to be restrictions that various states, especially southern states, specifically southern states, impose upon African Americans after slavery ends. A lot of that enforcement is going to, in general, a lot of that enforcement is going to be reduced or blunted by the presence of the Union troops in the South. But once the Union troops are removed, then you're going to have more of the enforcement of the black codes taking place. Now, another black code sought to restrict the upward mobility of the black community by forbidding freedmen in South Carolina from pursuing any occupation other than laborer unless they were able to pay $100 fee. Okay. Another black code sought to restrict the upward mobility of the black community, now this is in South Carolina, by forbidding freedmen in South Carolina from pursuing any occupation other than laborer unless they could pay a $100 fee. And incidentally, history.com has an article dealing with black codes. I've talked about this before. Some people may have seen some presentations I've done in the past. And history.com has an article dealing with black codes. And once again, it is true that the Union troops to newly freed African Americans or the black freedmen. I think it's in this one here. They talk about South Carolina. Let me see here. Passage of the black codes. In late 1865, Mississippi and South Carolina enacted the first black codes. Mississippi and hold on. Just a second here. Okay. Mississippi and South Carolina enacted the first black codes. Mississippi's law required blacks to have written evidence of employment for the coming year each January. If they left before the end of the contract, they would be forced to forfeit earlier wages and were subject to arrest. In South Carolina, a law prohibited blacks from holding any occupation other than farmer or servant unless they paid an annual tax of $10 to $100, between $10 to $100. They had to pay this annual tax in South Carolina if they wanted to have an occupation other than farmer or servant. This provision hit free African Americans already living in Charleston, South Carolina, and former slave artisans, okay, or tradesmen, things like this, skilled tradesmen. It hit them especially hard. In both states, African Americans were given heavy penalties for vagrancy, including forced plantation labor in some cases. So this is an article dealing with black codes from history.com, which is the official website of the History Channel. Okay. Check out this article also here. All right. Look, we're going to get out of here. These other topics we'll deal with Monday and Tuesday. If you like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, then also through PayPal, paypal.me / the AHN Show, paypal.me / the AHN Show. This helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting, do 6 days a week instead of 1 day a week. Okay, because this is very time consuming also. Helps us continue to do it 6 days a week, pay the bills, etc. All right. And then also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, you click on the yellow donate button. You can also order our DVD lectures, our digital downloads. You can support us that way as well. And that's at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com also. And if you want to advertise with the African History Network, email us at customer service at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, customer service at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com also. All right, look, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We're here Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time. And then Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We usually run over some, so we keep going on our social media platforms. Follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network. Follow us, click on the like button also, turn on live notifications so you know when we go live, because a lot of people don't get notified when we go live for some reason. And then on our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP, subscribe, but click on the bell symbol so you get notified when we go live also. Okay. All right. Right now it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you Monday night. Peace.